and welcome to this edition of EMS Now Up Close. Today, it's my pleasure to speak with Jaroslav Neuhauser. He is a general manager for Europe for SAKI. SAKI, of course, is a global supplier of SPI, AOI, and AXI to the electronics manufacturing industry. Yarda, thank you so much for taking time to speak with me today and to give us an introduction to both SAKI and to the SAKI within Europe. So let me start by just take a moment, introduce yourself, and explain what your responsibilities are there with SAKI.
At the moment, I'm working as a general manager for SAKI Europe, responsible for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. So it's pretty wide territory. But luckily, we are cooperating with our valuable distributors in every country to provide the local support service and quick response to our customers. So we are not alone. And I'm in the business for 17 years, working for SAKI since 2007. So having quite a bit of experience. Started as a application engineer and then grow up into this position. So having pretty much overview about all of the areas in the industry, from technical to the sales and management.
Yeah, and always within Europe for SAKI?
Yes, always management. Always in Europe. However, of course, I'm often traveling to Japan to discuss with my colleagues and trying to align our ideas how to move on with our products and solutions.
Very good. So I know that SAKI was established, of course, back in 1994, but Europe, how has the brand been growing its presence within Europe?
It's right, Eric. We are celebrating 30th anniversary this year. So being 30 years on the market, we were established as a family company in Japan, and we were known for the very quick or fast line scan machines. But of course, it was many, many years ago. And the European history started in 2006 in our office in Frankfurt and moved to Munich. And in 2013, we decided to open the technology center in Prague, in Czech Republic, where the majority of our support and sales activities are coming from these days.
Okay. And that's where you're located as well, correct?
Yes, I'm located here with our valuable team. One of our strengths, I believe, in our market is to provide also the software development on spot. It means we are not having the central development in Japan. Of course, the majority is there. Yeah. However, we want to be as close to our customers as possible. So all of the major area in electronics is having also kind of lean software development team. And those people can very easily listen to our customer voice and reflect on those issues.
Yeah. So you mentioned the customers and being close and kind of, working with what their needs are. So let's talk about that. So what are kind of the trends that you're seeing with regards to manufacturing? And then specifically, what kind of inspection solutions exist to kind of support those?
I mean, these days we see a high demand about inline X-ray inspection, which is kind of trend, at least in Europe, what I can see. The machine starts to be able to cope with the cycle times of standard SMT line, which was not in the past. In the past, typically the X-ray was standing next to the SMT line, and it was used just for some random check or some startup check during the mass production release. These days, there are more and more requirements having the inline X-ray machine to be really checking 100% of the product. Maybe this is related to the e-mobility or electrical vehicles, which we see in Europe these days, because very high power is transmitted through the components and PCBs, where every joint needs to be checked very carefully in order to avoid the failure in the field, and simply to be sure that every joint connected by some through-the-hole technology or even SMT is really meeting the quality requirements.
Mm-hmm. So are you seeing that in particular sectors? I'm thinking specifically with the inline X-ray. Is that servicing particular industry sectors?
I mean, Yeah, it's mainly driven by automotive these days, but also the industrial companies. I mean, the industrial field is requesting to have those. So I could see the similar trend as we were used to see in the past with 3D AOI, so with SPI. Started with the big players, and starting to go to the smaller and smaller local players. This we can witness with X-ray technology. So started with really the automotive companies, but now we see even a small companies with a local area. Not sure whether forced or motivated, at least,
Yeah.
to get the inline X-ray.
Okay. And I would imagine that with higher density printed circuit boards, right, that becomes quite the trend as well as people are trying to put more on a smaller piece of landscape, which must be challenging as well.
Of course, I mean, X-ray is one direction, but as you said, the miniaturization or high density of the components, and also kind of advanced packaging, so more functionalities, more components within a component, so like backend of semiconductor production. That's also one of the targets where we see a high demand these days. That's
Okay.
right.
And I remember back in the day, it used to, one would do AOI post reflow, but it seems like pre-reflow AOI has become quite popular as well. Is that what you're seeing with your customers as well?
Yeah, again, it's very specific, probably depending on the test strategy of every customer, but definitely we see high demand also for the pre-flow applications. Maybe it's also a bit related to this X-ray inline, because if you see the production line, of course, having SPI as a process control equipment, which gives you the real feedback on the printer as a process control machine. But as we are considering, for instance, as an example, having inline X-ray at the back of the line, then
Hmm.
maybe the importance of the post-reflow in this case, I mean post-reflow AOI, is not so high. So then maybe it makes sense, and we see quite a few customers who give up to have the post-reflow AOI and go for pre-reflow instead. So having the SPI, then pre-flow AOI checking the pick and place process and having the components under control, including the text readings and polarities and so on. And
Hmm.
then the inline X-ray as the final assurance of the solder joint. That could be one of the trends, which is maybe not existing at the moment, but I definitely see some kind of tendency going to that direction, maybe in the near future, 5 to 10 years.
Okay. And speaking of the future, I did want to ask you that kind of about how the electronics manufacturing market is evolving, right? And what features do you kind of foresee being demanded by customers as you move forward?
Customers, they would like to have a trouble-free machine, right? As along the line, you
Yeah.
know. So ideally, switch it on, make the job, and switch it off, and or change to the other one. Of course, it's hard to reach for any process which we have in the production. That's clear. So one of the demands what we see is to first of all make the thing simpler. So to make the programs by using AI-driven programming or easy programming. These days we focus on having one program for all of the processes along the line. It means the programmer creates just one program, and then SPI, AOI, or AXI will take the data which it needs for the inspection and simply make the program in real time just for that particular position, which make it easy because then one responsible person is building the program for entire production. So that's definitely easier. And another trend what we see, of course, the employing of the AI in not only the programming, as I said, but also in kind of assistance in various directions, assistance in judgment for the operators to kind of eliminate some repeated mistakes or false calls which machines or inspection machines can create. but also with a prediction based on data analysis. So based on the sample values analysis, we are able to predict whether we are coming out of the production window or process window soon. It means the operators, or mainly the programmers, then can take some corrective action before the defect happens.
No, that's interesting to me. Yes, the AI seems to be the buzz throughout the industry, right? And in life generally now, right? It seems to be so common. And it's really, I like seeing it where it's eliminating repetitive human tasks, right? Because that goes to the issue of some labor force challenges in the industry that this could certainly help with, right? Um, and that speaks to the software side of it, and as you just made reference to, kind of gathering that data, analyzing it, and making some recommendations for improvements. Is that a system that SAKI has as well then for its machines?
Of course, we have, as I mentioned, there are several ways how to employ the AI in our field,
Mhm.
starting from programming towards the revision, how to say, a reclassification of the defects, for instance, down to the inspection itself. Of course, the complexity of all of those functions are not the same, starting from the easy ones, like automating the programming or generating the program itself, down to the inspection, where the inspection, you can imagine on the average board, we have 10 or 15,000 joints.
Yeah.
And of course, we then, or the AI, have to make 10 or 15,000 judgments in real time. It means we are having 15, 20 seconds to do those 15,000 judgments. So that creates kind of demands on the AI engine. So we are not, I mean, usually we do not use the general engines developed by the big IT companies, but we are using our own developed AI inference machines with a special models in order to cope with the speed of the judgment, because that's necessary. No, in our field, nobody will wait for the inspection if it is longer than the average cycle time of the line. So that's our destiny. We have to be always faster than the slowest machine in the line.
In the line, that makes sense.
That's great.
And what about with all of that? What about data security considerations within that then too? How are those addressed?
That's very good point. Um, it very depends on the customer demands, but these days we see the wishes of the customers to do the AI model teaching on premise. And that's our duty to prepare the functionality to be able to crunch the huge amount of the data with a kind of limited hardware that, of course, we are then, if we want to do it on premise, we are not able to send the data to some PC farm or some data center, right? So therefore, our methods have to be very efficient in order to deliver the results in a very short time or reasonable time on the hardware which can be afforded by the
Yeah.
customer. So that's a challenge, of course, but our direction is mainly to provide the tools for the on-premise teaching of the model. It means the data are secured in the internal structure or intranet of the customer. So this
Mhm.
risk is maybe not avoided completely, but at least very eliminated or minimized.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense. Yeah, that and I know that that's just a big concern in the issue in the industry, excuse me. So, um, and anything else about the evolution of the market that you wanted to comment on, or is that are those the major evolutions that you see through the technology and AI?
That's what I see as the major drivers in the industry. Of course, from the optical inspection, there are many improvements as the computation power is getting better and cameras are getting faster and so on. But this I still feel as a how to say, the minor changes. Okay, just the evolution, not the revolution. Okay,
Right,
but
right.
what I highlighted, the X-ray to be more and more in line what we are seeing, and also the employing the AI in
Mhm.
various positions of our
Mhm.
job. there's definitely getting to be close to revolution, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's good. So let me bring it back to Europe then, if I could. So what would you consider to be maybe the unique or special requirements for customers in Europe? And then within the electronics manufacturing, and how does inspection help them then achieve their goals as a company?
Mhm. I touched this topic already a bit at the beginning. We have a strategy to be close to our customer with a very qualified team. It's very important for us to listen to customers and, of course, to support them in the best way we can. That created certain relation towards our customers, or between us and our customers, that the quality of the service and the response time is very good. We understand that many of the European customers are having high demands, and sometimes they want to have miracles, having very high flexibility productions. We are having many machines in prototyping areas of the bigger companies, which is always kind of tricky position, because those companies, they want to use all of the functions we have in our portfolio, and all of them have to work perfectly. And as we are here in Europe as a little bit later comer, as I said, in 2006 we started, but the real operation started, let's say, in 2010, 2013. Many of the areas were pretty much set. So it was challenging for us as a company from Far Asia, from Japan, to convince the European customers that our way is very close to European thinking, with having a toolbox where the tools are in, but you don't necessarily need to use all of them at the same time, but we always find a solution for their problem. So that's one of the highlights, what I can see, how we came successful in the European market, in my opinion. And that's what I'm proud of.
Well, let me ask, and so within Europe, I think of Europe as not really the high volume, low mix type stuff. It's really that higher mix, lower medium volume type stuff, which is, as you're indicating, there's a lot of changeover on the line then, right? So, and then the programming of the SPI, the AOI, or the AXI, whichever solution you have set up, needs to be configured quickly so that it can the machines get moving again. So is that am I correct in that assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. We came in 2018 with one hardware platform. So we uniform as much as possible the machines throughout the line. It brings a lot of benefits. It brings the benefits to the users, that you just provide one training. You have one spare part stock, you train the people just once, and so on. You can use the same calibration tools throughout the line, and so on. Now we are in the situation in 2024 where we also created one platform software. It means all of the software interfaces are uniform throughout the line. And again, the same benefits we can see from the programming point of view, from the calibrations, having the same functionalities throughout the line, having the same interfaces for the operators. So that leads to radical cost saving at the customer side. And especially in this challenging environment, which Europe is, having very high demands on many functions, but of course, the customers want to use this function on SPI and also on AOI to have the same thing, to have the same offline programming, to have the same optimization, to have the same programming itself, to use the same file formats, etc., same algorithms.
Right.
And I think this is one of the strengths what we are having, because if you are trained for programming AOI, you just need 1 hour for programming the SPI, and maybe you need about 1 day to program the X-ray, okay, from the training point of view.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's very good. And I can see, and that's where everything helps, speed is the important element there in the industry, right? Listen, this has been excellent. I think your insights on what's happening and how it's evolving are fantastic. if people who are watching this want to learn more about SAKI or to connect with you, how should they go about doing so?
I mean, of course, you can follow us on social medias, but we regularly attend the exhibitions like upcoming SMT Connect, for instance, will be present, or SMT AI in Chicago in October this year. Definitely also the shows in Asia. So there are many possibilities how you can reach us. And of course, having the local teams around the globe, we are reachable also through our local distributors.
Yeah. And to connect with you directly, I would just recommend people to go to LinkedIn, and you certainly have the presence there, and they can connect with you or message you there if they can't find you any other way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yarda, I appreciated the overview, the insights that you provide. Those are excellent. I wish you nothing but success as you continue the growing the business there in Europe. And hopefully we get to speak again in the future and get some more updates.
Eric, thank you very much for the invitation, and anytime. See you.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you, sir.